answer now. I will give you some time to ask questions and to comment later on. So let's just hear the questions first. Do you sometimes struggle to convince someone on something? Like you really try hard to convince or to persuade someone to do something or to accept an idea or an argument, for example? Like sometimes you really feel as if you're beating your head against the wall trying to convince someone to do something or to accept something. To persuade someone on an idea, maybe, or maybe to do something for you. Does it happen with you? Does your boss sometimes overlooks or ignores your ideas or words? Like your boss doesn't even listen to you? Your boss, your teacher, your manager, and someone who's considered superior on you. Overlooks means ignores. Does he or she sometimes ignore your ideas and words؟ طبعا هاي الأسئلة ما موجودة، خطأ طباعي لازم تنشال. Do you often get interrupted by others? That when you speak, they always interrupt you. When you speak to someone, do you have a specific person, someone you know, a friend, or a member of your family, or someone you know? When you talk to this person, he or she always interrupts you. Because this person doesn't want to listen to you. This person wants to speak himself or herself. Do you think that some people only talk and never listen? And even if you're talking, they hear what you say, but they don't listen to you. They don't focus. Because they keep thinking and focusing on the things they want to say and want to share with you. Because they couldn't care less. They don't care what you say. They only care about the things or the messages that they want to deliver to the others. Do your colleagues or friends sometimes forget your suggestions because they only focus on theirs? They just forget yours? Is this good or bad? Is this considered part of good communication skills? So many questions. And I know that you know the answers. I know you know the answers. When I ask you, do you sometimes struggle to convince someone on something? Like you really feel hard to try to convince someone? I'm sure that you will say yes. Does your boss sometimes ignore your ideas and words? Yes. Do you sometimes get interrupted by others? Yes. Do you think that some people only talk and they never listen? Yes. Do your colleagues or friends sometimes forget your suggestions? Yes. Yes, yes, yes to everything. So what are good communication skills? Is good communication when I speak loud? Is this a good feature, a good quality? Does it help me to have a good communication skill when I speak loud? Well, it's important, yes, of course. If you speak low, nobody will pay attention to you. When I say speaking loudly, I don't mean shouting or yelling or screaming. I just mean making your speech recognizable or noticeable by the others. Because if you're speaking in a low voice, maybe you'll be boring and maybe nobody will notice that you're even talking. Is a good communication skill means does it mean that having rich and extensive vocabulary? Well, yes, of course, vocabulary is important. And when you speak with rich and extensive vocabulary, this means that you have a good communication skill. Is a good communication skill does it mean having the power to persuade? Of course. Like, what's the purpose or what's the value of communication if it doesn't persuade others? إذا كلامك ما يقنعني المنحاشي. Doesn't mean having different speaking styles? Yes. So good communication means all of these things. Good communication is skill. I just need you to just listen now, and then we will explain further and discuss things further. And if you have questions or comments, I will be more than happy to receive them. Okay. So good communication skill is an understanding of how situation shapes your speech and how your speech shapes the situation. It has nothing to do with the grammar, accents, or vocabulary lessons. It doesn't matter if I speak grammatically or not. I'm not saying that grammar is not important, but I'm just saying that good communication is when you be in control of the situation, when you be so influential, when you have impact on the situation or the context or the social context in which you're talking. So it's how your speech or how your language controls or shapes the situation, or how the situation shapes your language. So sometimes you change your language or your speech depending on the situation itself. This is a very good analogy. Look, think of a photocopying machine, جهاز السنساخ, we call it photocopying machine. Think of this machine in an office. Do you think you have control over it or it controls you? If you just hit the print or copy button, then you do not control the machine. إذا بس تدوس على الدقمة وهي تستنسخ, هي مسيطرة عليك, مو أنت مسيطر على الآلة. But if you know how it works, what happens inside, and if you know how to fix it when it's damaged, and if you know how to change the toner, you know toner يعني الحبر, and if you know how to clear a paper jam, إذا تعلق ورقة وتعرف شلون تطلعها بطابعة أو جهاز استنساخ, then at this time you have control over the machine because you know how to deal with it. You know all of these matters. You're really in charge and in control. You're very powerful here. You're in charge of the machine, not the opposite. You're the powerful element or component of the situation, not the machine. So powerful speakers, they typically control the topic. They think about having a conversation with someone who's very powerful when speaking. By powerful, I don't mean someone with muscles or with a strong physical appearance. Someone who's in control of the topic, someone who knows how to talk about religion, about economy, about politics, about sports, about music, someone who has a very good world view, a very good world knowledge, and someone who knows how to control that topic, he or she. Someone who is likely to interrupt others, even if it's rude to interrupt others. It's not good. It's inappropriate to interrupt others. But sometimes you just need to do it. You need to do it because you need to speak up. You need to interrupt others to show something, to convince them on something. Powerful speakers demand explicit explanations. They always use language for what? To build authority and influence. لغتهم يحصلون على السلطة والتأثير. بأسلوبه، كلامه. And we can see it so clearly in those people who work in the marketing, for example, the marketing field. They sometimes convince you to buy something which is not so good, actually, not so valuable, but they make it the best. And they convince you to buy it. And sometimes the other person becomes so naive to believe everything. إذا شايفينك واحد بالشرقية يطلع يجيب مثلا قلاصين عصير رمان، واحد هن نفس القلاصين، أوكي، من نفس المكان يشتريهن، بربع الكلاس، فيروح للناس بالشارع يقول لهم هذا بربع وهذا 10,000، إنه نفس العصير، يقول لهم هذا بربع وهذا ب10,000، والله ذوقوا وشوف شنو الفرق. فهذا يذوقون العصير، وواحد يقول لي لا والله مبين، هذا مبين بنكهات والوان، لا هذا مبين طبيعي على العصير الثاني، هو نفس العصير بالربع، ولكن لانه عرف هذا شلون يدخل المقابل. Sometimes in conversation lectures I sometimes ask students like X and Y, okay, and X try to persuade Y to buy this pen from you. أقول له X يعني حاول تقنع Y يشتري هذا القلم منك. Now it depends on X and what X will say to convince Y to buy the pen. يا أما يقنع يشتري القلم، لو ما يقنع يشتري القلم، قلم أو أي سلعة. It's a role play. It requires imagination, to unleash your imagination and to improvise, but it's really good and challenging. So powerful speaking is when you try to build authority and control the situation and have influence on the others, and you convince them, you persuade them. Maybe you give reasons, you support your argument with reasons and with facts from references and so. Sometimes some people try to belittle others, to flatten their confidence by talking. أحيانا البعض يحاول يبني السلطة من خلال الاستهزاء بالآخرين، وبين هو نفسه اللي يعرف أكثر من المقابل وغيره. And we can see this, we notice this. But you need to know that powerful talking may be used by either sex. It can be done by the male or the female, even if it's more typically male. رغم إنه شوية يعني مرتبط أكثر بالmales than the females. Male speakers not only talk more, but they also interrupt more, even if they may not perceive themselves as doing so. حتى لو ما يشعر بنفسه إنه جاي يقاطع، ولكن هو يقاطع. Again, interruptions is not good. It's rude. It's inappropriate, but it's sometimes important to be powerful in the situation. So being powerful is to give orders, to dictate to others. It's to use rich vocabulary. It's to know how to persuade the others. It's to have different speaking styles. It's to speak with loud voice and maybe to interrupt sometimes. To demand explicit explanations. To control the topic. To build authority and influence. To know how to use facial expressions, gestures, how you stand, how you talk, how you maintain eye contact, and how to use body language. All of these contribute to powerful talking. So, in a study of a doctor-patient interaction in the US, men used explicit commands, but women used joint actions. يعني نشوف الطبيب الرجل دائما يقول lie down, take off your shoes and socks, like orders. They give orders. بينما الwomen, they include themselves as part of the conversation in a joint action talk. Maybe we should just take the top of your dress off. They use the pronoun we. يلا خلينا ننام, يلا خلينا نسوي كذا, يلا خلي كذا. Okay. Yes, it's sometimes used by men, but it's usually done by women. So giving orders is also part of powerful talking. Think of an officer giving orders to soldiers. Do this, don't do that. Giving orders is part of powerful talking. So sometimes people interrupt, sometimes they use a loud voice, they play with their volume, they play with the rate of speech, they have that kind of technique that convinces others to do something or to accept an idea or لا والله هم اصلا ما يقطعون من الشارع مالتنا، يعني مرات يجي ابو الطماطه ويجي ابو يعني ابو المخبر وابو الغاز وابو الماء كلهم سوا.
عزم محاضرة اللغة يجي هذا الأستاذ.
لا كل المحاضرات يجون والله. بعد ما راح خليه يروح لحظة. طبعا كل واحد له ستايل خاص به، له ريجستر خاص به وله طريقه. يعني مثلا واحد يقول طماطه مره واحده، واحد يقول طماطه ما اعرف ليش، باذنجان فلفل بوتيته يكررها ما اعرف شو. فكل واحد له طريقته. And remember, in the first lecture when we talk about linguistics, we said that sometimes you can observe something in someone's style when talking, and then you can collect material and then you analyze that material from a linguistic point of view. بعدهم الله يساعدهم من هذا شغلهم يطلبون، حتى لو اكو بيهم والله انا اعرف اكو بيهم ناس يعني يصومون ويطلعون، بعدها رزقهم يتطلب هذا الشيء، رغم ان هي ظاهره غير اجتماعيه جدا، بس هم تفيد بعض الناس. هو لو يعني ما محتاج ما يسوي هذا الشيء، يعني مضطر يسوي هذا الشغل عموما. So let's continue talking about powerful speaking or powerful talking. So powerful talking can be done from males and from females. It's not just what you know, but it's also how you deliver what you know to the others. Remember the example of language is cake? I think I've mentioned this many times before. When you become a teacher, how can you convince your students when you deliver a lecture, a lesson to the others? So remember this analogy, language is cake. Imagine that you have the most delicious cake in your hands. عندك أطيب كيكة بين إيديك. If you smash it with your hands and you throw it to the others, they will not take it. They will not receive it, even if it's the most delicious cake. ما ياخذ منها، حتى لو أطيب كيكة بالعالم ما راح يستقبلها منك, because you didn't deliver the cake in a nice way, in an appropriate way. But if you have a normal cake, a normal piece of cake, and you put it in a plate with a cleaning tissue and with a red flour, and you bend and you give it to someone, كيكة عادية تخليها بمعون، تخليها وردة، أوكي، وتخليها منديل وشوكة وتنحني وتقدمها للمقابل، وهي كيكة عادية. They will take it because you really knew how to deliver that cake, how to present it to the others. So it doesn't matter what you know. What you know is important, but how you deliver what you know to the others is the thing that matters, the thing that counts. So it's not just what you know, it's also how. It's not just the what, but also the how. And I'm sure that you have noticed some people who deliver the very famous TEDx speeches on stage. شايفين هذا الTEDx برنامج الTEDx اللي you can have a speaker on a stage delivering a lecture about something.
Yes, sir.
شايفينهم دولي بالTEDx يلقي خطاب. Sometimes they can be very powerful speakers, very convincing, and sometimes even if the presentation is planned and prepared, it also requires some powerful presentation skills. And sometimes it can be very boring. And I once read a book about presentation. It says that 90% of presentations start like this. Hello, my name is Firas, and today we will talk about... This is boring, actually. This is very boring, not interesting. Why? Because most presentations start this way. You introduce your name, and then you introduce the topic. But imagine if you start like this. لو كان هسه شوي قاعة مثلت لكم وراوتكم شلون. If you open the door and you just look to the other people in the audience, you look at them in the eye, and you smile. And you stop talking like this. With just looking at them and smiling. بس انتوا يعني ما حاكي شيء وانتوا شوي صار عندكم انترست، حتى اللي كان عنده اللي كان نقاله او كذا ممكن شوي يترك نقاله. And imagine then you say once upon a time. What happens when you say once upon a time to anyone? They will leave whatever they're doing, they will listen to you. You will grab everybody's attention to you. You will gain their attention. Because people like to hear stories. So it doesn't matter. You may do something visual, an activity. It's not necessary to start by introducing your name. You can ask a question. You can tell a story. And then you say, hi, my name is Firas, and today we will talk about... So powerful talking can be done by males and females. Powerful talking means to use good vocabulary, to speak with good body language, effective body language, convincing, eye contact, facial expressions, gestures, have the ability to convince others, to have the power to build authority and influence, to be very effective, to use different speaking styles, to use rich vocabulary, to speak with a loud voice. And by a loud voice, I don't mean screaming or shouting or arguing with others. Just mean making your voice, more significant, more noticeable. To be in control of the situation, just like being in control of a photocopying machine. To think about the technique rather than the content. Remember, language is cake. Maybe to give commands and so. Any questions about powerful talking? بقيت شغلات بعدين احنا ناخذها. بس عندي هاي الاشياء وهسه اراويكم فيديو جزء على الاقل جزء من عنده وادز لكم رابط وانتم ان شاء الله بعدين تشوفون التكمله مالته. Any questions or comments about powerful talking?
Sir?
Yes.
The accommodation is a part of powerful speaking?
Again, Shams?
Accommodation, for example, the Barack Obama, he speak to the black people.
Well, no.
People.
Well, it's part of powerful presentation, not powerful talking. It's actually the opposite. Accommodation is to be close to the people, not to make them feel like you're one member of their group, not the superior. Powerful talking is the opposite. Powerful talking is when you show the others that you are the best.
Okay.
Yeah. But it's also important to deliver powerful presentations, which is different. Okay, do we have more questions?
Yes, sir.
Or comments, please? Yes.
Does the voice affect powerful speaking? If someone have, special voice that will affect or...
By voice, do you mean accent or the voice itself?
No, the voice itself.
Well, yes, maybe someone has a lovely voice, and the lovely voice, of course, it contributes. So powerful talking is a combination of different factors. Maybe you have a lovely voice, a nice voice, and also
those who have deep voice, when they speak.
Again?
People who have deep voice, with their voice going very deep when they talk.
Yeah, we have different types of voice qualities. We have a breathy voice. We have a creaky voice. We have a harsh voice. So sometimes if your voice is nice to the others, if your voice, we say, if it's music to others' ears, if it's just like music to others' ears, of course it will be more convincing and more persuasive to others. But it's not just the voice alone. No, it should be accompanied by other factors.
Yeah.
Sir?
Yes.
What do you mean in the, what's the meaning of the jam when you say paper jam?
Paper jam, by paper jam I mean that you cannot get the paper out of the printer or the photocopy machine. It jams inside the machine. It hangs in there. It doesn't come out. يعني تبقى الورقة تتعقد وتبقى بداخل الجهاز ما تطلع.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. ما سامعين بالترافيك جام؟ ترافيك جام من يصير ازدحام سيارات ويصير ترافيك جام، واحد تحشر سيارته بالنص بعد ما يقدر يخرج من الازدحام. راح أراويكم فيديو إلى شخص اسمه محمد قحطاني، okay, and how he delivers speech very powerfully and very successfully. نشوف دقائق من عنده وبعدين أعطيكم الرابط وتشوفوا كله.
Please welcome our next contestant.
راح أسد المايك مالتي أوكي حتى لا يصير صدى بالصوت.
Contestant Mohammed Quatani. The power of words, Mohammed Quatani.
What? Oh, you all think smoking kills? Let me tell you something. Do you know that the amount of people dying from diabetes are 3 times as many people dying from smoking? Yet if I pulled a Snicker bar, nobody would say anything. Do you know that the leading cause of lung cancer is not actually a cigarette? It's your DNA. You could smoke for years and nothing will ever happen to you. This whole war against smoking is just to restrict the farming of tobacco. Mr. Council Chair, fellow Toastmasters and guests, I use these arguments, even though I just made them up, with a group of my friends. And the results, 5 of them believed what I said. 2 of them started smoking. Words, when said and articulated in the right way, can change someone's mind. They can alter someone's belief. You have the power to bring someone from the slums of life and make a successful person out of them. Or destroy someone's happiness using only your words. Does that seem a bit too good to be true? A simple choice of word can make a difference between someone accepting or denying your message. You can have a very beautiful thing to say, but say it in the wrong words and phew, it's gone. I have a son who's 4. And he had this bad habit of writing on the walls with crayons. And one evening I walked into his room and he's going at it, just writing and drawing and so on. And I said, hey. Are you stupid? Don't you ever do that again. And guess what happened? He did it again. Nobody likes to be threatened. Nobody likes to be intimidated. His pride would not allow it. He did it again just to spite me. A week later, I walked into his room and again, he's going at it. And this time, he was even looking at me just... came down and said, sweetie, come here. Don't do that. You're a big boy now. And he never did it again.
هذا الرابط طلال. And I think that you have noticed how powerful he was when he delivered this presentation. He was talking about the power of words. Sometimes with your words, you can really change someone's mind. You can really change someone's belief and someone's values and norms about something. Or you can sometimes with your words destroy someone. I really and strongly suggest that you watch the rest of this video later. It's really very important. يعني يخسر اللي ما يشوف هذا الفيديو كامل ويفهمه يخسر هواي أشياء. So it's really strong, and he got the first place in the competition in the championship because he was a very powerful and convincing, persuasive presenter or speakers. When we talk about presentations, we have 4 categories of speakers. We have someone who avoids presentations, someone who always chooses jobs that do not have these presentation opportunities. Jobs in which they do not talk because they're avoiders. They don't like to speak in front of others. Some people are resistors. They accept to work. They work in jobs that require presentations, but they just resist them. Some people are acceptors. They accept, but they want to work with companies, but they just do not encourage presentations. And some people are seekers. They seek such presentation opportunities. They always want to speak in front of others. وفران عندي سؤال.
Yes, the effective speech power.
Again, غفران.
Effective speech. يعني هذا الكلام المؤثر.
Yes.
يعني هو همين يعتبره باور.
Yes. What is powerful speech? Powerful speech is effective speech. Powerful speech is influential speech. Powerful speech is inspiring. Powerful speech is engaging. Powerful speech is motivating. Powerful speech is devoting. It's compelling. It's it's everything. All of these. It's inspiring, motivating, effective, influential. It's convincing. It's persuasive. It has a strong impact on others. This is powerful speaking. Powerful speaking is knowing what to say and how to say it. Not just what to say, but also how to say it. Powerful speaking is knowing how to make use of your volume, of your voice, of your tones, of your eyes, your hands, your body, your legs, your clothes, the way you stand, the hand movement, facial expressions, eye contact, not just the verbal means of communication, but also the non-verbal means of communication, which are more attractive and more catchy and more influential sometimes than the verbal means of communication. And I think you've noticed how he started smoking first. He brought a cigarette out of his pockets and he started to light up this cigarette, which is something you cannot do in front of an audience in a formal presentation like this one. But he just wants to illustrate something. Oh, you think smoking kills? Well, the fact says that people who die from diabetes are 3 times more than people who die from smoking. يعني الناس اللي تموت من مرض السكري 3 أضعاف الناس اللي تموت من التدخين. And yet, when you see someone eating a Snickers bar, you don't say anything. But when you see someone smoking, oh, smoking kills, don't do it. شوف واحد ياكل نستله سنيكرز ما تحكي وياه، رغم انه الناس اللي تموت من السكر 3 أضعاف الناس اللي تموت من التدخين. He just wants to say that sometimes with your words you can change the world. You can bring someone from the slums of something, from the bottom, and make a successful person, or you can just destroy that person. وراح يطلع بعد انه يكمل وينطي امثله. And you have seen the example of this child, using the crayons هاي الالوان الشمعيه and drawing on the wall. And he said, hey, are you stupid? The child doesn't like to be threatened and intimidated like this. They will be stubborn and hard-headed, and they will do it again. شفت انه child سواها مرة ثانية, and this time he was even looking at the person, like challenging the person. But if you speak with that person in a nice way, and if you tell the nice words that this person really wants to hear, they will stop doing whatever bad thing they're doing. Oh, you're a big boy now. You cannot do that. And as he said, his pride wants him to be the big boy. So he stopped doing this bad thing, which is using crayons on the wall. Yosef, do you have something to say?
Yes, sir. I've already watched this man, and in particular this speech, and he's an example for people who have stuttering issues and disabilities, because he used to have these issues with speaking. When he speaks, he can't continue speaking. And his teachers told him that he will never be a good speaker, but still though he tried, and he became one of those people who have famous in speaking.
Yeah, sometimes the opposite happens. Sometimes because of a bad word you hear from someone, this bad word gives you the incentive or the motive to try to make a difference or make a change in your society. But mostly when you hear something bad from someone, it really destroys your interest in that thing. Yes, thank you. Fatma Ahmed?
Yes, sir. I want to add something about struggle speech.
Yes.
Of course, for me, I struggle to communicate an idea. Sometimes I have the idea but I do not have the words to express my idea. Sometimes I have the idea, also I have the words to express my thought, but the psychological part, this connection between thought and words. So for me, what makes me strong in speech is learn words to so that if I forget a word, I can replace it with another. As well as I should force myself to participate in speaking, so until I broke down this psychological barrier. This is my opinion.
Yeah, that's right. If you have that kind of situational or language anxiety, that you feel stressed and tense all of the time, and you feel afraid of making mistakes, and that making mistakes might make the others make fun of you or laugh at you, and then you will never progress or develop one day. But if you take the first step and you try to do something for the first time, the second time will be easier, and the third time will be more easier, and so. And as you said, sometimes you have a good knowledge about topics. You know something about everything. You know something about sports. You know something about physics. Something about psychology. Something about music. Something about friendship. Something about technology. But this is not enough. Even if you have the words and if you know the knowledge, if you have the knowledge, you also need to know how to present psychologically and socially. You need to know how to be persuasive, how to present, how to use body language, how to use eye contact, how to use facial expressions, how to make use of your volume, your tones, your style, pace of speech, the speed of your talking, how to persuade the others, how to stand, how to use your hands. All of these things should be combined together in order for you to be a powerful speaker and a convincing one. Not just talking, not just interrupting. Sometimes interruption is really, really, really bad, really rude, but sometimes you need it to maintain power in the context. So it's not just a matter of interruption. If you really want to build authority and influence, you need to have all of these factors together, all of them. So remember, it's not just what you know, but it's also how you deliver your speech to the others.
Of course, it is the most difficult.
Again?
Of course, the convey the idea is the more difficult from what we know.
Yes, it's not easy to convince others. That's why you need to be very skillful and very talented to convince the others and to persuade.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. بس على السريع نور ويوسف وعباس ناخذ ملاحظات من عندكم وحتى نبلش بالامتحان. نور
أكون confident. You should a person is not you should confident and not stressed, and you choose a correct clothes when the speak with the other, especially in the formal speech.
Yes, yeah. Self-confidence, you know, you should have a strong personality, a strong character. You should always tell yourself that I know that I have it in myself and I can do it. And I don't care what others might say to me. I can do it and I have confidence and I can talk and persuade the others. It's very important to have confidence and strong personality. Thank you, Noor. Yusuf? Yusuf Jalil? Abbas Abdulillah?
Yes, sir. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Abbas.
Yes, yes, sir. In my opinion, sir, there is a very important things to have a power talk is the knowing, the thinking of the people who speaking with.
Okay.
It's very important to know how they thinking.
Yeah, very important. This is really very important to know about your audience, to analyze your audience. Are you talking to your colleagues, students? Are you talking to teachers? Are you talking to engineers? Are you talking to, what kind of people you're addressing?
Yes.
So if you know how those people think, this also helps you how to get into their minds or their brains.
Yeah. Yes, sir. I saw these people when someone invited me to participate in a legal money company, which based on network participant. This person has a big power of convince many people, and he had a good knowledge of what they are thinking.
Yes. Yeah. Look, like imagine yourself teaching in a primary school. If you're teaching in a primary school, are you going to use the same presentation style? When you speak to adult learners, of course your style will be different. Maybe with children you'll tell stories, and maybe you'll say jokes, and maybe you'll sing in front of them. Maybe you'll play a game or do something with your body and your hands just to gain their attention and make them attracted to you. And with adults you'll do something different. So yes, we also depend on the audience. We should analyze the audience when we talk.
Of course, sir. Thank you, sir.
Great.
العفو أستاذ تسمعني؟
نعم أسمعك يوسف تفضل.
ما أدري المايك معلق. I think the level of speech and the fluency and using scientific vocabulary can also affect on the power of word.
Yes. That's right. By fluency, look, there is a misunderstanding about fluency. People think when we talk about fluency, then we're talking about speed. Fluency is not the speed of talking. Fluency is the clarity and intelligibility and the comprehensibility and the understandability of talking. To be fluent is to make your speech understandable, comprehensible, intelligible, clear, and obvious to others, understood by others, not necessarily fast. If you speak correct and slow, then that's better than speaking fast and incorrect. So, but the speed is something else. It's called the rate of speech. Excuse me just a second. Rate of speech is something different. Rate of speech is the tempo or the pace. Sometimes you see someone talking very fast and someone they talk very slow because they depend on the idea they're trying to communicate. If they want to focus on something and they want you to pay attention to it, they slow down their pace of speech, slow down their speed. Yes, but yes, again, using sophisticated and advanced vocabulary, using fluency, talking clearly, talking fast. These are also important aspects of powerful talking. Remember, powerful talking is not just one thing. Powerful talking is, everything blended together. It's a mixture of so many important features, like the features that we have just mentioned. Okay, so that will be all for today as a lecture. Now let's start our exam. Inshallah, we will continue later on. We'll continue this lecture later on. I think tomorrow. Yeah. هسه اللي ما عنده امتحان ممكن يغادر، اللي عنده امتحان بس اللي عنده امتحان خليه يبقى، واللي يبقى عادي أهلا وسهلا. علا عندك سؤال؟ كان عندك سؤال أو ملاحظة؟
مرحبا أستاذ، شلون صحتك؟
هلا ولا.
أستاذ أنا صحتي يعني مو زينة وتعبانة، فما درست المادة يعني، بس المعلومات باقية ببالي. يعني جاهزة امتحن، بس إذا شفت نفسي مو جاهزة يعني تخلي يعني تأجله.
لا أصلا ما راح امتحنش أنت، يعني عنش الامتحان. يعني ما امتحنش، هاي روح. أنت مرات تشاركين، اللي يشارك بالمحاضرة ما امتحن.
اوكي ثانك يو.
يعني نفس الحالة سعاد وشمس علاء أيضا ما امتحنكم، يعني ممكن تبقون أو تطلعون. عباس عبد الإله أيضا نفس الحالة.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.